it was your kids that wasn't for the dog, or was it you that wasn't for the dog initially? Because I know eventually somebody changed their mind and you ended up getting it. But yeah, nah, Disco. Yeah, I don't bore my dog. My folks look after my dog when I'm gone. And like, it's challenges with them. Like, the funniest thing, Brad, when we talk about Dakota and my parents, is the amount of times that they don't tell me that my dog ran away from them. They don't tell me that. Like, do you understand? They actually do a good job, because that shit'll stress me out if you tell me that my dog ran away in the midst of it running away. So that is the most annoying thing, because they're up there in age, and I don't knock them like in that sense, right? Like, things happen, but it's like sometimes I wonder, like, am I doing the right thing taking it to them? But that's just for another story. Yeah, exactly. Oh, so the girls, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. You wasn't like, I like bawling tears crying, no. You weren't like doing that, right? Like, where they had to get you a tissue and you had snot coming down, you know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. It was just like a little tear shed. That's all it was, right? It wasn't nothing serious. Hey, Disco, I remember, I think it was you. You was saying like a while ago, you had an incident with the husky. I'm not gonna say it on stream. You know, you could type it if you want to and share the story. But you had an incident with a husky like a while ago. I don't remember what dog you had, but like, do you have a similar dog? Ugly crying because he was posted on Facebook. Oh. Yeah, Disco, let me know about that one. Look, I respect it. I respect it. Now y'all got 3 dogs. That's a beautiful home. Hey, imagine when the kids move out. You got a house of dogs, you know what I'm saying? The kids eventually move out. My dog growing. Yeah, I about to say, I ain't know if you wanted to share that or not, but yeah, I remember the story that you told me. It was a poodle, okay. That I've never thought, like, that's one story in the back of my head that I've never let go when it comes to Dakotas. Like, that, when it comes to smaller dogs, they say when I picked her up that she was friendly with dogs, but like, when she's around smaller dogs, I get nervous, bro, because it's like I don't let her off the leash around the smaller dogs. And even when I was in a dog park, I got fortunate, right? Because she's bigger, or not bigger, but she comes across bigger dogs in the dog park. So I'm like, all right, she's not really that occupied by the smaller ones. So yeah, that's that. Hey, but listen, let me tell y'all, while Dre's gonna be joining up shortly, right? I'm gonna tell y'all about what the hell happened. And here he comes. He comes at the right time. How you feeling, Dre?
I'm feeling good, man. I mean, I didn't had an eventful Atlanta trip, man. I know you was going through hell over
Oh
there.
my God, I was just about to talk about the story, bro. Oh my goodness, it was incredible, like, in the worst way, man.
well, well, look, was the trip good in itself? I mean, withstanding Spirit and the flights and all that, was the trip good?
Yes, yes, the trip was good, man. We stayed. So one of the things, one of the people we went down there with, she had asked me if I enjoyed the trip, and I did. I think one of the things with me though is, like, when I experienced Atlanta, I only really experienced Buckhead. I don't know if you ever, like, that was my first time down in Atlanta, so I never really knew about or been to other areas. So I only stayed in one area when I went down there, and that was Buckhead. So it's like I experienced that part and I really enjoyed it. It's just I can't come to a conclusion on Atlanta. I like Atlanta, like what I saw, but I can't come to a full conclusion on it because of, like, that one area that I was at. But yeah, I really liked it, man. Bruh, when I tell you, when we touched, matter of fact, before we touched down, nigga, I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning and I was like, all right, it's time to turn up. Like, I was turning up at 3 o'clock in the morning before the first flight. And the way down there, Spirit was cool. Like, we ain't run into no issues on the way down there. And we was turning up from like Friday morning until, matter of fact, 1 o'clock this morning. Like, Because when we realized we was in some shit, we found a bar trying to get some food and it was like, fuck it, bro. It just hurt up. It is what it is.
More drinks.
Disco said, "What's up, too, Dre?" I don't remember. Like it was something that I never heard before, and one of the people that was with, she ordered it, and she said that it was strong, and I was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what it tastes like. You said it's strong. That's all I need.
What kind of liquor was it? You don't know what kind of liquor was in it?
It was like 2 or 3 different liquors in there. I didn't ask no questions. I'm telling you, when she ordered it initially, I didn't want no liquor, and it dawned on me because she said it was really strong, and I was like, you know what? I need that. So I just said I want what she has, and I ordered it. So I never heard of it before, and I don't know what drinks are in it. It did the job, at least for the time being, bruh. But like I said, Atlanta was cool. It was all up until the Monday morning. Monday morning, y'all. When I tell you, I woke up. Something told me check my emails. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Check my emails. Flight canceled. No excuse. No reasoning. Nothing. Like flight canceled. They didn't tell me about rescheduling. They didn't tell me about getting my money back. They didn't tell me nothing. Flight canceled. So I'm like, bruh, let me call these motherfuckers because apparently I can't even do shit on the app. So I call them. I'm sitting here thinking I'm about to get through, and then all of a sudden I can't remember verbatim what it was, but they said they can't go through with the call because of some technical issues that they're having on their end. It's automated. Can't do nothing about it. I lie to you not, Dre. I call these people 20 more times between the time my flight was canceled up until the minute that my man's randomly and magically got through, which was at like 9:30 in the morning. So I called these motherfuckers 20 times in 4 hours. I didn't get one person to pick up. That's just the beginning. Oh shoot. Tell her I said thank you. You know what I'm saying? I hope they are over age, right? You know what I'm saying? I think they are. I'm gonna let it go. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here, do my thing out here. but nah. So I'm like, bruh, it's no way in hell they doing this to me. They not doing this to us. Like, one thing I would tell you throughout this whole thing that I thought about, bruh, one of my mans was so sick. He said, I'm not dealing with Spirit no more. Like, he woke up, he said, fuck this. I'm buying a plane ticket right now. He bought a 10 a.m. flight to Southwest, and he got the fuck from his junk, and he dipped. Like, he didn't care what we were doing. He just got the fuck. He was gone. And I'm like, bruh, I wanted to get that same flight, but we weren't all on the same page. We were just trying to figure things out. So he did his thing. He had to dip. I respect it. I ain't even mad at him. Clearly he got out of Dodge. He got out of Dodge. So yeah, that's the morning. Eventually, after my mans get through with an agent, we have a 9 o'clock flight. I'm like, all right, so now we gotta figure out shit to do. In random, bro, we say, all right, let's go to Six Flags. This just tells you how bad of a day it was, Dre. Yo, Disco, T, we go to Six Flags in Atlanta. I've never seen an amusement park that was broke. Like, I'm not playing, literally. They had no staff, 3 rides stuck, like, not working. 3 rides. So
you can tell me there's a worse Six Flags than what we have over here in PG County?
Worse than Central Avenue. I thought I couldn't believe it. But that's not where it gets, that's not even the worst part, Jay. The rides aren't working. They're understaffed. But then when you ask to get food, they don't have water. They don't have lids. They don't even have straws. They have nothing. All they had was fucking Dippin' Dots. That's all they had, and I didn't want that shit. So we like, what the fuck? We leave. We leave after like an hour and a half. We spent like $40 on a day ticket. Go get some dinner. The dinner was straight, and then it comes down to going to the airline, bruh. Get to the airline. Oh my god! First off, we thinking we late. We in TSA. First off, the Spirit Airlines, when you just checking in your bags, it's like 50 people in line, and the line moving slow as shit. So eventually we get through that, Joe. Eventually we get through TSA. But before we get through TSA, you been to Atlanta Airport, right, Joey?
No, I never been in
Oh,
Atlanta.
oh shit.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
I'll make this one a long story short. Atlanta is a big ass airport. Like you got to take rails to get to different gates. Like you got to take a train station to different gates and shit like that. So we're all the way at the terminal checking in, and but our flight is at 9:30. So boarding starts at like 8:30, 8:35, something like that. We get through TSA at 8:45. So they already started boarding in our head. We eventually get through TSA. We all start kicking it to the fucking gate. Kicking it. Like, we got the mask on. Niggas can't breathe, bruh. Like, all this stuff. We can't even breathe, and we sprinting through the airport trying to catch this goddamn flight because it still says it's on time in our app.
Yeah.
We eventually get there. It's 1,000 people in the hallway. And I'm like, this can't be for our flight. I'm like, this can't be our flight. So we like, excuse me, fucking dodging this shit. I'm like, all right, I'm used to this. I play flag football. I'm a flag football legend. You know what I'm saying? Ducking and dodging this shit. Get all the way to the back of the terminal. And lo and behold, I asked them, are y'all here for the BWI flight? They say, yeah. So y'all ain't leave yet. Nope. Okay, thank you.
It's a nightmare.
I'm like, okay, thank you. No, in reality, I'm not gonna lie to you, Dre. At that moment, I'm like, all right, that's cool because we were already late. So we can just relax for a second, you know what I'm saying? Catch our breath because they're gonna get on. So eventually at this point, we're like, we can relax, get some water, whatever, anything that we need so we can calm down and shit like that. Eventually the staff, I guess, that works the tickets say that we're just waiting on 2 flight attendants. So we're like, okay, cool. We ain't tripping off that. The issue with this one though is that not only were we waiting for 2 flight attendants, there was like 3 or 4 other Spirit Airline flights in that same vicinity. A couple of them were waiting for pilots and a couple of them were waiting for flight attendants. One of the other flights that was going to Vegas was waiting for the flight attendants. Their flight got canceled, and I was right next to them when they called it. So I'm like, bruh, on Fort Lauderdale, their flight got canceled as we're fucking just chilling. So we hear everything that's going on. They're pissed. They got to go downstairs, either get the refund or get a rebook. And I'm like, bruh, we're in the same boat. We're in the same situation. Eventually, like I said, our flight was at 9:30. We ended up staying up there for like till like 11:45. We have no answers yet. Like, we don't have any answers. We're just still waiting for the flight attendants to get there. The pilot was in there the whole time. We had no idea until we left. The pilot was in there the whole time, just chilling, waiting for his flight attendants. Fucking chilling. Probably on fucking FaceTime or Pornhub or some shit, whatever pilots do in their spare time. I don't fucking know. But we end up leaving. We go downstairs because one of our boys, his sister works works in Spirit, so she can help us out a little bit more. We go downstairs to the flight. We're gonna end up getting our flight change and things like that. In the midst of us getting our flight change, 2 other flights that was up there with us, their flights gets canceled. And we're finding that out as we're going down. But on top of that, our flight is still on. And we don't know that because we fucking left to go down to get our flight changed.
Right.
We made the executive decision, like, bro, we went up here for 2.5 hours. Odds are we either got to drive home or we got to take another flight. But eventually they end up boarding at 11:45, and that's the very second that we get down to the kiosk to change our flight. They boarding as soon as we get down back to the train station part that we have to take. We have to take the trains to get back, all that shit. They're boarding in the process of us taking these trains. So they end up leaving. They end up actually taking off. Out of all the trains, out of all the planes, they end up fucking taking off.
That's crazy.
Yes, they end up fucking taking off. So we don't find that out. We don't even find that out immediately. We find that out after I go check and see how we can get our bags from the plane because we're about to book another flight. She says, "Hold on, what? You on the BWI flight?" The lady that I'm talking to that works for Spirit. She said, "Yeah, I think that plane actually took off. Out of all the planes, I think that one took off. Let me go ahead and check." She put some numbers in the computer. She said, "Yeah, that one took off." So our bags aren't even fucking in Georgia no more. It's on the way to Baltimore. We don't have anything anymore. It's just us. It's just us. So that's at 12. That's at 12:45. Like I said, one of my boys, he's still on the phone working through trying to get us another flight. The flight's gonna be for free because of the situation anyway. So we're not worried about that. Now we're just mad because we could have left at that time if we just waited a little bit longer. So that's when we ended up going to the bar. because we needed food. The whole airport, we was hungry as shit, hadn't ate all day, and then all of a sudden we end up thinking we're gonna be home at 11:30. And then as long as we're in there, the restaurants end up closing, so we have no food. Go to a bar.
Damn.
Yeah, go to a bar, end up getting food, bruh. And I mean the story doesn't really end there, but to long story short, this because I am going to the fella's gonna be on tomorrow. And they're gonna share their side too. But long story short, this we end up getting home, catch a Southwest flight at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're at the airport for 12 fucking hours, all because of the Spirit bullshit.
That was almost like Tom Hanks on Lost in Translation.
Bruh, turns out over 900 flights got canceled between yesterday and I think Sunday. Between Sunday and Monday, 900 flights got canceled.
And it wasn't due to any weather issues. This is all due to just people not showing up or whatever.
They said operational challenges and weather. That's what they said, like formally. But when we're hearing one of our men that wasn't with our group, but he was flying to Jersey, his flight got canceled 3 times. One time on the way to Atlanta, and then 2 times on his departure flight. So there's people that just wasn't showing up, and we know that because we was at the airports when that shit was happening. So if they're talking about weather and shit, I don't believe it, bro. That shit was, I've never experienced anything like that before a day in my life.
Must have been a strike, man. You must have just caught him on a bad day.
Man, if that was a bad day, I don't know. That shit was horrible, bro. Have you ever had any experience? I don't know if many people there's now when we're talking about in the air, that's different because there has been some people who've experienced things in the air, but have you ever had any administrative shit like that happen when you're trying to, like, just airport shit in general?
No, not airport. Like, I've never had a bad airport experience. I mean, I never taken Spirit or them other little airlines, you know, the bad ones that people talk about. I always go American or Delta or something like that. So I've never really experienced any issues.
Yeah, Disco just said, it ain't just Spirit. I just got back from Atlanta airport on Friday. He was saying Delta gave my flight away. He missed it by 3 minutes. He said that's thinking that bitch gave my flight away. And then said y'all was late. God dang. And he said he was coming back from New Orleans. Matter of fact, Disco T, if you still in here, you had any flight experiences? Bad flight experiences? He was saying he was coming back from New Orleans. And he was in the air for an hour. And they turned back around because they had a broken fuel gauge. Then they canceled the flight. So,
God damn.
Yeah, I'm about to say
that's a bad one, right? That's actually scary right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. I seen stories about people who tried to land, or planes who've tried to land, and like they slid off the runway. People who've taken off and dumbass birds getting the engine, like as soon as they take off, blow the engine, they gotta land as soon as they take off. Like I don't ever want to experience that. If the worst it gets for me is administrative shit, I thank God for all of that. I don't need none of those issues.
The only bad things I have is I literally never get a window seat. Like I always get the middle seat. Like I don't know, I can't get an exit seat or I can't get a window seat. Like I already know when I get a plane ticket, all right, this is gonna be right in the middle. Hey, I'm sitting between 2 people I don't know.
You gotta start deboing them niggas, bro. Be like, hey, look, I don't know which one you got, but I need the aisle or I need the window. Which one y'all want? Which one y'all want to
start doing that? Like I'm just supposed to take it. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, the people been nice that I usually sit next to.
Already, man. Already. So a couple things, man. First and foremost, well, I'll get the quick one out the way. Rev Butler, if you're watching or if you're listening, I appreciate the subscription. I've been gone for a minute, so I didn't even see you subscribe to me. And to us, to the Trapper Dive, I appreciate it. It's definitely, again, all for those who are listening and watching, all subscriptions, man, they just go to support of the stream, man. It helps the quality get better, helps the content get better, and it helps us support ourselves. I don't put any of the fucking money in my pocket. I have no purpose of it. I have a fucking full paid government job. I'm perfectly fine. That's the first thing. Secondly, so obviously, I don't know if everybody knows AJ, but obviously, if you watch the show and you listen to the podcast, you know AJ, man. So prayers up to AJ and his family as they're dealing through some things. And I talked to AJ 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm not going to state what's going on, but that's all on him to speak on. But he was going through some things then, and I had no idea until he told me after the show. Like, so for him to even be around during these instances in his life, I appreciate it, but it's not needed, man, because these things are very close to the heart, and we're just building over here. Like we're when I talk about, and I told Dre and I told AJ, when I talk about building like a family, like this is the Trapper Dive is a family thing. That I meant that shit, but at the same time, like we're just getting to know each other for real. And you gotta handle your business. You gotta take care of your mental health. You gotta take care of your loved ones. And AJ is going through some things right now, and prayers up to his family. And he put it out there he put this part out there on Twitter. So prayers up to his mom, and whatever it is that they're going through. So he'll be around when he comes around, but we're not forcing him to be around until he's ready. So prayers up to him and all that good stuff before we even get started. That was a, you know what I'm saying, I had to take a little sip after that one.
Yeah, drink the AJ.
Absolutely. All right.
What are you drinking?
Oh, this is Wildcatter. I think I mentioned it before. I think 90 proof or 80 proof, one of those one of those things. What actually it was 10% less than the one you had. Remember I asked you what you was drinking that one day at the bar? What was that, 90 proof or 100 proof?
What was that? Was it old fashioned? Yeah. No, that was not Creek. That's 100 Creek. That's 100 proof.
All right, so yeah, so this is 90 proof then. Yeah, this joint is fucking going through me like a goddamn, I don't know. This is crazy, like it's water or something. God damn.
You need to get you some of that Ray nephew, that Jamaican
I love that shit.
Proof.
I love it. I love it. First time I experienced it. Matter of fact, Washington played Kansas City Monday night game. Kirk Cousins, 2017. Josh Doxson in the back of the end zone game, man. I didn't realize how drunk I was until the last drive.
Was you by yourself watching that?
For the most part, I think I was. I know I was still with my folks' house because I had the crib. I mean, I didn't have the crib yet.
I would never drink Ray and Nephew watching a Redskin game or watching the. I would never drink Ray and Nephew before that. I'd be ready to fight somebody. I'd be fighting my TV in the house.
Hey, bro.
So after 2 shots, I'm violent.
I was going through it, and when I tell you that man, when he dropped that junk, bro, I wasn't even mad at Doxson. I was emotional, bro. I was like, bro, that was the fucking game. We needed that shit, bro. We needed that shit. Hey, so Hillary, you was there. You was there. And I know you was probably talking big shit too.
I was in Kansas City.
Yeah, she was up there, Joan. Cause it looked like we had a chance for a minute, so I would have been talking shit especially if I was in the stadium. For sure. For sure. That shit's painful. But yeah, that Rand nephew, you're on point. You know your shit, bro. you really do.
That's why I take my breaks. Like right now, I ain't had a drink in like a few weeks because when I go in, I go in.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the only reason why I'm drinking is because of the weekend I had. So it's like I'm already in this drinking mode. My body can handle it. Let me go ahead and take this last drink. Dre say I don't drink on stream after all the time I talk shit about people not drinking. I don't drink on stream, so I'm gonna go ahead and sip a little bit and get this one out the way.
You taking my place?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll talk about that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the quote of the week, man. Let's talk some Washington football, big dog. So you actually pointed out the Sam Cosmi conversation, and so happens that Ron Rivera spoke on Cosmi's progression. I want to say it was either yesterday or today, but the quote goes as follows. He's coming along very well, very nicely. The nice thing for him is who he's practicing against. He's practicing against Montez, obviously Chase Young. He's practicing against all of our front line, and he's holding his own. That's very encouraging, especially now that we have pads on. There were some things that he did that were very good. There are some things that he got to work on. He got to understand. A guy like him, with what he's done to date, has been very encouraging for us as far as his opportunity to play for us right away. Now, as I'm reading this out loud, it's very vague, and he's repeated himself a few times. So I don't know what he truly means when he's talking about Sam Cosmi, like what his true opinion of Cosmi is. I'll take him for his word. It just seems like he repeated himself a few times in this statement. But again, as people know, I was out of town, man, and I am admitting that I am relying more so on others versus I am on myself. I have a lot of reading and catching up to do. But with that being said, Dre, there was a conversation that was had on social media about Sam Cosmi. So I want to ask you, like, were people really worried about that man after just a few days of his time at training camp?
Well, I mean, this fan base, every training camp practice tweet gets blown out of proportion. I mean, you can have Heinicke throwing an interception one play, and everybody, who the Heinicke have right now? And then you have Heinicke throw a touchdown the next play. So I told you he should be replacing Fitzpatrick. So, I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster with this fan base because they live and die off of every tweet when it comes to these. Like, for me, I dialed it back a lot. Like, in the older days, I was a little bit more on edge when it came to these tweets and stuff. And now I'm like, I'm at the point where it's like, look, all I really want to see is where guys are lining up, where guys are, who's getting the most reps, who's consistently displaying something over a course of days, and the individual stuff is just too much to get into. But regarding Sam Cosmi, I saw quite a few discussions on him this past week. Well, it's just a lot of the fans are, maybe expressing some concern, like, oh, well, I hear he's not looking too good. Well, I mean, look who he's going against. He's going against Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and the rest of the defensive linemen who can give any damn offensive lineman fits in this league. I mean, this is all over. So this is actually, Sam Cosmi is privileged right now for who he gets to go up against, because he's not going to go up against players of the Chase Young and Montez Sweat caliber on a weekly basis. I mean, we talking about some of the best in the league right here. So this is for him. Any defensive end he's going to face going forward in games, he's already seen them. He's already seen them in practice. So this work he's getting is good. So, you have to have patience, especially with a young offensive lineman. I don't even think when they drafted Sam Cosmi that they had in mind that he was the automatic starter at right or left tackle, wherever they wanted to play him. I believe they thought he's going to be a cornerstone piece on, one of the ends of that line, going forward in the future. But when they drafted him, I really don't think they had in mind, like, this is our automatic answer at right tackle. And that's why you still have guys like Cornelius Lucas around, and you have Charles Leno that we just signed, because you don't have to force him out there. And the only reason Sam Cosmi was even getting thrown into the wolves as much as he was in practice is because Cornelius Lucas was on the COVID list. Yes, so he's back now, and they're going to rotate more. Yeah, so now, he'll be able to settle in and ease in, but that's good, the work he's getting, and I appreciate that. But like I said, fans need to have patience. We have to remember Morgan Moses. He was not ready at all to play in his first year, and he turned out to be quite a solid tackle for the rest of his career here. He even, got a contract somewhere else where he's slated to start. So just have patience with Sam Cosmi. Just give him some time and let him settle in. That's for me.
I think another thing that people kind of forget, and it's kind of crazy because people, like the actual reporters, they actually start to say it nowadays too. It's hard to goddamn evaluate the offensive line, like to understand everything that they're doing right and doing wrong, because everything is not visible to the naked eye. Like you don't know the technical parts of being an offensive lineman. Sometimes you can see like the struggles in the one-on-ones and things like that, and that can help form your opinion. But when it comes to blocking assignments and stuff like that, schemes, and when you're doing the live drills with a full 5 in terms of your offensive line versus a full front 7 or front 4, we don't know anything. Like, we don't know everything. Excuse me, not anything. We don't know everything. And for Cosmi, I don't know exactly. Again, like I said, I have some reading to do, but I do trust my boy Dre. And for people to do have those issues with Cosmi this early on, or concerns about Cosmi this early on, it's not issues, but have these concerns about Cosmi early on, I think it stems from the fact that over the summer, I would just say literally at the point of Morgan Moses being let go, he was plugged in as the new starter. So when you have those expectations of somebody because of the fact that they're anticipating him to be this type of dog that we just didn't see coming, then it's like, all right, now I'm a little nervous because they're not saying he's lighting camp up. Well, goddamn, bro, it's like 5 practices.
Right.
It's 5 practices. Like, he ain't. I mean, everybody not gonna come in like gangbusters, bro. Everybody not gonna come in like Chase Young, and the initial impressions are, oh, this motherfucker, he's good. Like, everybody's not gonna look like that. So it's a multitude of things when it comes to the fan base, and when it comes to certain positions that you just have to have that time. And I agree with you in that aspect, Dre. It's not like Cosme is a little bit too early. Like, and Leno's out, and I think. Matter of fact, hold on, wait. Did you say both Leno and Lucas was out?
No, Leno's there. Lucas was out on the COVID list, but he's actually just returned back this week. Yeah, he's returned now.
Okay, yeah. So you had one that was out, which is obviously that was good for Colin to get that experience, but you just got to give him some time. And they just started hitting today too. He could be a little bit more physical. That's something that out of Texas, that's what he relied upon, being physical. He can be a little bit more physical now. I'm sure they'll have rest to help them clean things up. So he'll know what to do and what not to do further and further in terms of game situations and stuff like that, and help his positioning and things like that. His hand placement is more specifically. So he'll have ideas of how to get better. But now that there's pads on, he doesn't have to worry about losing reps. Because also another thing in one-on-ones, especially when there's no pads on, guess who's designed to win that one? Just like the one-on-ones of receivers and DBs, the offense is designed to win the receiver drills versus the DBs, but the defense is designed to win the defensive lineman versus offensive lineman in those drills. So it's new, man. Give them some time.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
Absolutely. So I guess, has there been any other news updates in terms of like the guards and things like that, Dre? Or because I know Eric Flowers and Schweitzer, and it was one more. The guy we drafted last year, Sadiq Charles.
Sadiq Charles.
Yeah, yes. So I know there was three interior linemen that's the storyline there in terms of left guard. Has there been any updates or news on that front?
Not too much from what I've been hearing. I know the other day Brandon Scherf kind of went down a little bit with the injury, but I think he came back. But that's something you also got to kind of worry about with Scherf, and it concerns me because I think he gets hurt about every year now. I mean, it seems like he's out at some point. Year, I don't think you're going to get 16 games out of Brandon Scherf anymore. I mean, he's going to go down with something at some point. So that's why it's important to have that depth that they have at guard now. Like I said, they went back and they got Eric Flowers. You got Wes Schweitzer, who's probably our future right guard once Scherf, walks after this year. But Sadiq Charles, from what I've been hearing that he's been rotating between interior and outside. I guess they're trying to see where his strength is. And plus, he may have been playing tackle as well just because Lucas was on the COVID-19 list. So he may get more reps at guard now. But something I did hear, I can't remember who I heard it from, but the other guy we drafted last year, Keith Ishmael, in the 5th or 6th round, the center, they're saying he's not looking that good. They say he has to have a good camp or he can get cut this year behind our boy, the center. Ruya, but right now he's not even a lock to be the Ruya's backup this year. They're saying, he needs to have a really good camp.
So 2 things. I guess the first thing we get through is the player part. That is interesting. Now I'm not gonna say act like I had a lot of value or stock in Ishmael, but again, it points to something that I kind of brought up with Gandy Golden. I want to say it was last week. You guys, not us literally, but the actual team, you guys, obviously every draft pick isn't going to work out, but getting rid of these guys after a year, knowing that these are your investments, are interesting. If you know they can't play and you're chalking it up as a mistake after 1 year, I don't know how good of a look that is. Now I'm not going to sit here and say Antonio is a potential to get cut, because I don't know. And on top of that, from what I have been seeing so far, Dre, is he's made a few plays here and there. It's not like it hasn't been anything.
I've heard you saying.
Yeah, it hasn't been anything negative. So I'm not even going to sit here and say that he's in trouble. Not right now. We have to see him in the games and stuff like that too. But he's getting a little bit more comfortable. But at the same time, like at one point, like if there's a potential that these guys can not being guaranteed a spot after being drafted by the team, you have that 4-year contract with these guys. It's not that good to get cut after 1 year. I don't want to see it happen, and I'm not gonna sit here like again. I'm not gonna sit here and say like I'm invested in Ishmael, because I'm not. We're all following along, but that's just interesting to follow. If he's not playing that good and there's no good news coming out, saying man, I'm just saying.
But that would be interesting too, Jamal. I mean, that's a good point you brought up because those two are in the same draft class, AGG and Keith Ishmael. Now, imagine if you release both of these guys after this year. That's two guys in 1 year from the same draft class, and that's not a good look on that. Now, I don't know who will get the blame for that because a lot of people had Kyle Smith as their savior, and that was his draft. So he gets praised for every good pick. So will he get will he get the blame for the bad ones, the ones that don't work out as well? So I mean, because technically that would be on him. That was his class in a sense. He was the head of the draft at the time. So
yeah, well, people move the goalposts, so they'll find a way to make it work.
You know how that works. You know what I'm saying? I know people got on my ass about it, like, when he left to Atlanta, they were just praising him. They were like, he did so good. This, that, the third. I'm like, hey, what about his bad picks? What about the bad picks? Come on, y'all want to talk about that? Yeah, those is all Bruce Allen fault.
Yeah, right. No bullshit. So my second thing was too, just so we can get this conversation out of the way, and it doesn't have to be a long conversation. You mentioned the COVID list, right? And there's people coming off the COVID list already just after being a few days on. So I guess that's a good sign in a sense for the team, because at one point we did think that there was an outbreak on the team. And I don't know how many people thought that, but I know I was among the people who thought that there's a potential for an outbreak, given that so many people was getting on the list at the same time. The thing is, they also got off the list just as quick as they got put on it. And I don't know what it means like 100%, but what I lean for it to be is that they weren't necessarily diagnosed with COVID. More so, they were they were contact tracing, or maybe in the vicinity of somebody who had it. So with that being said, and the fact that the vaccination rate, it was actually reported today, if I'm not mistaken, the vaccination rate went up for the first shot to like 80-something% or something like that.
Yes, it's 84% now. Yeah, yes, 84%.
84%. So just like that, Ron Rivera gets pissed, goes to the media, says he's pissed off. These guys ain't listening. Well, he's trying to get these guys to listen. They're making their own decisions. It is what it is. All of a sudden, 84%, from one of the worst to the best, or up there with the best. So I think his messaging is clear, and people are getting his message, regardless of if they agree with the idea. They understand the ultimate goal, and I kind of give them credit in that sense. Again, COVID, the vaccines, the conversation get really tricky with people because they try to turn it political, and make it pro-choice, and essentially it is. But when you work for a company who's kind of telling you, motherfucker, if you want to work here, you gotta get this shot, and you got a decision to make. So I respect them for listening to their coach. And it kind of shines a light. I just wanted to say, kind of shines a light on the impact that Ron Rivera has on this team.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like you said, you were right about the whole. I think a lot of the guys probably on the list were going through contact tracing. I know Deron Payne, he got put on the list a couple of days ago, and fans were going crazy, like, "Oh man, more unvaxxed idiots" or whatever. And then Deron comes out and he says, I didn't have COVID. So, that's why I think, I believe they haven't been on long, because, if you contact trace and you get tested for a few days, you don't have it, then boom, you're okay. But yeah, no, I know Ron mentioned they had some kind of drive this weekend or something like that, where I guess they had a vaccination thing on site, and they came, and I guess a lot of players just decided to get it. Like you said, it's, it went from about 60% to 84% in a couple of days, or within the last week, which is good. I mean, you want to get there, because as the numbers show, there's 90 players on the team right now, so that means about 14 guys at the moment are unvaxxed. So that's also going to change too. Well, I don't know how much it's going to change, but you also got to remember that we're going to go down to a 53-man roster. So how many of those, 14 guys are going to be on that 53-man roster, or if any of those 14 guys are going to get vaxxed between now and the season? So that number could, go up or it could go down in percentage. But either way, I think they're at a good place right now, percentage wise. I mean, that 84%, that's huge. So, that minimizes the impact that a lot of the guys would have getting sick or during the season or something like that, or just having to miss games. And that's what you want. But if I had to guess, I mean, of the 14 guys that's unvaxxed, I would probably say they are core guys. I mean, because I can't imagine a bubble guy right now saying, you know what, man, I'm going to take my chances because you can get your ass cut just like that. You know what I'm saying? You are indispensable. So, I mean, if I had to guess, like I said, I probably would say the 14 are core guys. I mean, I would hope not. Maybe some of those not. But either way, I think it's a better number. And maybe more, like I said, between now and the season start, maybe more will get vaxxed. So, I mean, because the last thing you want right now is to lose games for things you can actually control. I mean, it's one thing for things that you can't control, but this is something you can actually control. And not only that, like I said, you letting your teammates down, and also they talk about making motherfuckers miss game checks. You don't want to miss a game check, so you know what I'm saying? Like just whatever.
Nah, you're on point. I think that the thing with this vaccination stuff, man. Well, I'm not even gonna reiterate it. I'll just say that these guys are in a position to do bigger things with this team, and them getting vaccinated gives me more confidence that they are aware of what's at stake with this team this year. Given that the things that they can accomplish and the moves that they made this offseason, I'm not saying that they collectively think about from a fan's perspective, but I think that they understand that the team is going in the right direction from a chemistry standpoint and from a coaching standpoint and development standpoint. So I think those are the factors that they think about when it comes to questioning whether or not they want to get vaccinated or not. And that's what kind of leads them to a decision of saying, you know what, fuck it, let's get it done. Let's get it done.
Right.
So Dre, there's another conversation that's going on. It's the quarterback conversation, right? The spotlight or the shit we see on social media, I noticed there was a couple things going on, and excuse me, there was two things about Taylor Heinicke, or there was actually a continuing or consistent storyline that was going on with Heinicke to this point. The main thing was that Heinicke was struggling. For Heinicke and Michael Phillips, he said that there was a specific thing that he was struggling on, and it was basically Taylor is stretching himself during practices, and the result has been some uneven outings. He's working on throwing to his left side, a self-described weakness, and he's having growing pains while figuring it out. That's one quote from Michael Phillips in the article that he wrote on August 2nd. And that kind of shit is like, now I don't give him too, like a lot of people when Phillips tweeted this part out about him just struggling, it's not that, it's the fact that they didn't read the article. When you're talking about him working on a specific thing that he struggles on, well, no shit, he's going to struggle in practice. And Michael Phillips didn't give an opinion of yes or no. He said this is what's going on. So that's one of the things that he's working on right now is throwing to his left side, and it's not working out well for him. Clearly, that's one thing. However, now I'm not gonna say that, I'm not gonna put the person's name out there because I don't know if I could even if I could do that, or I don't even want to put the heat on him in that sense. I'm not gonna say it's a source. It's not a source. But it's just the fact that he said it's just point blank. He said it's no competition. Matter of fact, let me see. He said point blank, it's not a competition, and that Fitzpatrick is clearly ahead right now. Heinicke needed to throw knockout punches, and it's not even close. And that's kind of where we're at with the Heinicke and Fitzpatrick conversation. It's not even a debate anymore, but that's the conversation. And that was also the consistent storyline since training camp has started. We know minicamp and OTAs were different. There was the Heinicke hype and all that shit. But now that training camp actually matters, we talked about this 1,000 times, Ray. When it comes to we understand he's not the greatest practice player, but if you're in a competition where Ron himself said that there was one, even though we don't believe it, but if he says and gives you the green light through the media that there's a competition, right, you can't stink it up in practice, no matter how bad of a practice player you are. You have this opportunity to show up. You can't just wait till the preseason game coming up in the week. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show these motherfuckers what I do and shit like that. You can't do that. You have to show up each and every week during practice. And clearly, Heinicke is struggling to do that. He's struggling to win the coaches over. And quite importantly, he's also struggling to win the media over. Like, there was people in the media who was saying he was good in the offseason. But if you want them to be consistent, this is proof of them being consistent. They're telling you the truth of what they're seeing, and they're not saying that he's good right now. So if anybody was wondering about the situation with the two quarterbacks, it ain't no goddamn competition right now.
Yeah, no, honestly, and to be honest, I don't think there ever was a legit quarterback competition even before training camp. I think it was more of an optics thing with Ron, because even when training camp started, Taylor was barely seeing any first string snaps, and that's another thing too, that, this is probably why Taylor ended up where he was when we got him, is because this is what he is in practice. Like, he doesn't get the opportunities too much to kind of show what he can do in the game. So in practice, this is what he is. And I think that's something that Taylor has to work on as well as a player. And, if he wants to have a sticking point in the NFL as a backup quarterback or whatever, he has to just, with the defenses that's adjusting to him. Because, right now, what I'm hearing is inconsistency. When training camp first started last week, when it first opened up, I heard something different. I heard, he was looking really sharp. He had a great first couple of 2 to 3 days. And now you're starting to see, I guess, as the defense getting to know a little bit more about him and they see more of him, they're adjusting to him. And now he's struggling because he doesn't know how to adjust to that yet. So that's where we're going to find out who Taylor Heinicke is as a player and if he actually has a sticking point in this league. Because if you're not going to get too many starting opportunities, where's a coach going to look at you? They only going to see you in practice. And if you can't practice, you're going to end up right back studying in somebody's finals at somebody's community college or wherever he's at, So that's something that Heinicke has to work through as a player. You know what I'm saying? Like, the defenses are adjusting to you. Well, obviously our defense is, because like I said, he had, from what I heard, a couple of good days. And now you're starting to see that tailing off. So now, are you going to adjust to that? And what are you seeing? Can you be that player that you think you are, or to show that you're not a fluke? So he has to work on that.
Yeah. So let's do a percentage thing, right? I'm not going to sit here and give you like 20 practices. I'll just say 10. I'll say 10 practices, in 2 preseason games, not all 3. Actually, I'll give all 3. 10 practices, 3 preseason games. If you how many practices out of those 10, if he wanted to make some noise in this competition, or if he wanted to make some noise and force a competition, how many practices are we talking about that he needs to step up in? Secondly, to back up those practices that he's showing off in front of the coaches, how many of those games are we asking him to actually look good in? We don't have to give no numbers, but for him to actually look good in, where it's okay, maybe Heinicke was just getting adjusted to this team and shit like that. Maybe we need to consider him for the starter. Is there something that can actually salvage the opportunity that he had?
I think his margin of error is really little. I don't think he has a wide margin of error in this competition, because, like I said, going into this thing, he was already, behind the 8 ball. Like I said, we all know, fan base, the media, everyone kind of knew, this is Ryan Fitzpatrick's job to lose. So with that being said, it's kind of like, you're going into a championship boxing match. When you go into the championship boxing match and you're fighting the reigning title holder, you have to convincingly beat that guy. You can't just you can't just go toe to toe with him, because if you go toe to toe with him, they're going to give it to the reigning title holder.
Yep.
But you have to convincingly beat that guy, and that's the same thing in this quarterback competition. Ryan Fitzpatrick was essentially the title holder. So Taylor Heinicke's coming for his belt. So if Taylor Heinicke's coming for his belt, he has to convincingly beat Ryan Fitzpatrick. He can't be good today and then have a bad day tomorrow and kind of have that being a seesaw type of effect. He has to consistently do good. So if you're talking about percentages, I think he would have to play good in all of the preseason games, and he can only have a few bad practices. I think he would have to give the coaches that kind of trust and that kind of doubt in Ryan Fitzpatrick. He would have to light it up in every preseason game, because otherwise he go out there. He has, okay, let's say he goes out there. He has a great first preseason game. Then let's say he goes back out there the second preseason game and he stinks it up. Now they're looking at, oh, we can't trust this guy. He doesn't look reliable enough to start over Ryan Fitzpatrick. So yeah, I think his margin of error is really little in this competition.
So one more thing. We about to shake the table right quick. Before we transition to the last topic here. How many more bad performances can Heinicke afford to have before they say, you know what, we about to just stick with Fitzpatrick and Kyle Allen? Like how many are we with that one? Because
Okay.
I like, as we talked about it and as you explained yourself there, I was like, he's got cut 5 times already, and $1 million ain't shit for them to cut that man again. So there's still a possibility that he can get cut again. Like, we're just not talking about it. We're just not talking about it.
Right. Although I think in this case he does have a wider margin when we're talking about that, because right now Kyle Allen's hurt again. So
God damn it,
right
he's
now
hurt.
you're essentially, he's hurt again. He tweaked his ankle. He hasn't practiced the last couple of days. And you can't. I don't think they have any trust or faith in Steven Montez at all right now. So essentially, you have 2 healthy quarterbacks on the roster right now with Heinicke and Fitzpatrick. So I do think he has a little bit more wider margin of error before we start talking about Kyle Allen leapfrog them. Because even when they asked Ron kind of the other day, he still kind of wasn't committal to Kyle Allen as, oh yeah, as a lot of people thought he was. Like, I listen to a lot of guys like Sheehan and them, and they always talk about, well, Kyle Allen is their boy. I'm like, well, all of them is their boy, really.
Right.
They handpicked every QB on the roster. This isn't none of the QBs on the roster right now are guys they inherited from the last staff. These are all guys that they brought in. So, and I haven't seen Ron kind of commit to Kyle in that way. I mean, but then again, Ron could be doing coach speak. But if we just going off of what he's saying right now, I think Taylor Heinicke does have a wider margin of error before talking about, possibly cutting him and just going with Fitzpatrick and Allen to go into this. I still think he's a little bit ahead of Kyle Allen, and Allen's injury doesn't help either. So
yeah, that's actually a good point, because again, for like the 5th time for people who are listening and watching, I am definitely one who needs to catch up on some things. So I forgot that Kyle Allen was hurt. So I can't shake shit if I forget that he's hurt. so basically Heinicke's definitely still in play. There's no concern until you can actually even see Kyle Allen on a preseason field at that. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm cool with that. So the last thing, man, is the Washington football spotlight. The stock report, I guess, of sorts, for training camp at this point. And I want to, here's the thing that kind of bothers me, Dre. And this is like something that I noticed when I was down there reporting at camps. Oh, for those who, because there was people who checked in, I'll just be quick before I get back to my point. COVID is still is the main culprit behind the smaller blogs and media sites not being able to go to camp. So it is what it is. I got my message on Sunday. I can't go, so there's no media credentials for me. It's perfectly fine. I don't know when the hell we're gonna be able to go back, to be honest with you. If we got denied 2 years in a row, I don't know when we're gonna be able to go back. But I'm gonna keep trying every single year so I can keep trying to find a way to get back. With that being said, I don't know. There's people, I believe, who follow hype trains. I feel like there's people who see something and they just stick to it because it sounds like the good thing. Now I'm not saying, and to be more specific, because that is a little vague. I'm talking about when you hear about players, some players who aren't doing too good, or some players who are doing good, or who are sneaky, quote unquote, rising stars, and people say, oh, you got to watch this guy. Sometimes those can be a little bit misguided, because I'm not saying they have agendas. I'm just saying like sometimes groupthink does exist when you're talking about evaluating guys, and it's a little bit easier to do a groupthink thing versus just simply evaluating and looking for yourself. Because you may identify one person who you think is good. You don't think he's gonna be fucking elite, but he can be a contributor from like a second or third string standpoint, special teams type thing. And sometimes people don't go for that. They go for the bigger, the boom or bust type things, and that's just not accurate. With that being said, though, Dre, I just want to put that out there because there's a stock report that's going around, and I kind of developed it, but it's just common names that I've seen throughout this point of training camp. The games haven't even started yet, but these are the names. And I want to get your opinion on them. I do have quotes from the coaches, but I'm gonna go through the players first and see what your opinion is on them right now, Dre. The first one is, where are we at? I guess I'll start with Landon. Yeah, Landon Collins, man. Landon Collins is someone who's caught the coach's eye and the fans since they've been at training, or I guess fan appreciation day in Richmond.
Yeah. So yeah, Landon is funny because, you know, he was a little disappointing since we signed him from the Giants, and he played in that Greg Minuski defense, and I'm not sure, you know, a lot of people got to play the right roles they were supposed to play in that Greg Minuski defense. But even him starting off in Jack Del Rio's defense last year for the first few games that he played, he still looked like he didn't have a place you could really rely on him in that defense. And then something happened. Like, I think it was the Cowboys game. They started using Landon a little different. They started bringing him on the field at the same time a lot with Cam Curl, and they started bringing Landon a little closer to the line of scrimmage, which we hadn't seen much of, you know, because a lot of times they have Landon playing in coverage or whatever. And Landon was actually causing havoc in that Cowboys game. I remember that game. That's the game he got hurt. Like, that was the best I had seen Landon look since he had been in our uniform. And I said, damn, they finally found a way to use him. And then he got hurt. So maybe now the coaching staff knows exactly how they want to use Landon instead of trying to find a spot to use Landon. And now they're playing him to the strength that he has. And that's what you're probably seeing carry over to training camp, and which is also awesome for Landon because I think he just tore his ACL, Achilles like 9 months ago. So he's already back. You know, that's kind of like AP when he tore his with the Vikings and he came back in like 9 months. And Landon claims he feels stronger than ever. He said he's in great shape right now. So you might start saying, and I know a lot of the fan base has soured on Landon because of his contract. It don't take long around here. It doesn't take long. And not to say it wasn't justified. Landon was disappointing. He was disappointing, and you expected more for the money you were paying for him. But he may finally, I think, from what I'm hearing, that he may finally turn into that $84 million player that we signed him for in this defense, the way they're going to play him.
Yes. And I think now, I don't know if money is getting in the way, and it may be the case. Money may be getting in the way of people's opinion on Landon in terms of right now, not from his performance in previous years, but I think the money may be getting in the way of Landon right now because a lot of people like to see Cam Curl on the field, and they feel like if Landon is healthy, or if he's playing well, that means you'll see less of Cam Curl. Now I'm not going to say that's the majority of how everybody thinks. I don't think that's accurate, or I don't think that's fair. But for those who do think like that, you may want to try and think like the inverse of that. Like, there's opportunities to have them both on the field now if Landon's playing really good, but he's also healthy. And you can find a way to have Bobby on the field. There's been formations, there's been teams who's used 3 safeties without issue at all. And excuse me, and the situations that you could use them in would be perfect. Like any goal to go, anything in the red zone, anything where you're using slots and tight ends where you can have these guys cover but also be physical at the line of scrimmage, because you know they can run with the tight ends and they can also cover at the line of scrimmage. It kind of benefits, but they also know how to tackle, and they're good. That's what they're good at. They take good angles, and so what the coaches has said to this point though, Dre, and you mentioned it, he's coming with a different resolve. Obviously, he has a more understanding of the concepts as far as the defense is concerned. The issue last year that they think is that they was trying to do everything on the run. So there was some hesitation in terms of picking things up. But until he got hurt, That's where they think he's picking everything up where they left off. He has a better understanding of how they want to do things. He's done a lot in the OTAs and minicamp, mimicking the defense. That's obviously the time that he was hurt. He really couldn't get on the field. And he's also with the DB coach, watching and practicing the way guys are thinking and moving. So it's helped him a lot. And I guess when coaches say things like that, we don't know to what degree it actually helps, but mental repetitions is a real thing, and RG3 kind of actually put us on game in the DMV area. I don't know if I don't know if we can say it actually worked for him, but that shit does work. You know what I'm saying? If you apply, man, it can work. So things like that does exist, man. And I'm not if Landon can play well, then we can use him for the last 2 years of his contract in a way that actually makes this team elite from a secondary standpoint. Fuck it, let's do it. we don't have to move him, man. So in that regard, I am a fan of Landon, man, and we can see where that goes. Did you have anything else on Landon, or we can move on to your boy?
Yep. That's it.
All right,
that's my boy.
Yeah, let's get to your boy, man. Hey, DeAndre Carter, bro. DeAndre Carter, man. There's been some noise about the boy Carter, man. So the first time I had heard of him, not the first time I heard him, but the first time I heard his name in camp was end around, and he was playing with the starters on that end around that they gave him. And they gave him quite a few opportunities since then, obviously, but he's had his time with the ones and twos, and his name has been consistently brought up. So I'll hand the floor to you and talk about your boy DeAndre.
Yeah, man. This, like I've been saying, I mean, I knew, they saw something in this guy that they wanted, and they liked. And like I said, the moment I saw when they signed him as a kick returner / punt return specialist, I said, okay, that guy, he may have a role in this team. But I think too, he's starting to show he's more than just a special teams player. I've had some friends out there at the training camp, and they hit me up about him unsolicited. They said, man, this DeAndre Carter dude's real fast. Like, he's so fast, he's shifty and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's getting to show that. And I think too, with Curtis Samuel's being out with his injury, for I've been hearing, they've been putting DeAndre Carter in a lot of the roles you'll probably see Curtis Samuel running. So that to me tells me that the guy he might be a lock on this roster right now at this point. And I can see it. I might be calling it. I can see a situation where they may go with 7 wide receivers. I mean, because somebody on Twitter came and told me, it was like, well, I can't see them just dressing a guy up just to run, kick, and punt returns. I'm like, well, they did it last year with Danny Johnson. They dressed him just to run, kick returns, and he didn't play cornerback that much. We didn't see him on the field that many
shit
times.
On returns.
I mean,
ain't nobody did shit.
The best trait that Danny Johnson had was that he didn't fuck up. It was like, all right, well, you got us to the 25-yard line. Thank you. That's all we needed. You didn't fuck it up. But I think DeAndre Carter has a little bit more potential than that, because he can do both. Danny Johnson was running kicks, and then Steven Sims was running punts. But whereas Carter, you can put him in both slots, which is key. So, like I said, I can see a situation where they keep 7 wide receivers and he's a special guy. And then in a situation where Curtis Samuel can't go for whatever reason, he'll probably be the guy that fills in for Curtis Samuel on offense.
So, I can't wait to see this. This is one guy that I can't wait to see in preseason. There was one person, you had said this a while ago. This is a couple years ago. He's not on the team anymore. But you were calling for him, and a couple other guys were calling for him. He was a receiver, and I can't remember his name right now. Matter of fact, he did get elevated one time from practice squad to.
Was it Kidsey dude? I think Darvin Kidsey.
Yeah, Kidsey. That was him. Yeah. So there's been some history with these guys, and there's been receivers, like for me, Cam Sims was that guy prior to his injury against the Cardinals, that week 1 game, 2018, whatever, or 2019, whatever year it was. So there's always those guys that you kind of see in the preseason, that you kind of see in training camp, and you have that hunch on. And DeAndre, for you've been on that train since what, June? as far as I remember, or maybe even
around
May.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been around for a minute, and this is one guy that, like I said, I haven't seen much of him outside of just hearing from him when he's been since he's been with Washington. So that's one guy I'm definitely going to be looking forward to watching. Shoot, hopefully this Friday, man. I'm trying to
Oh
talk to
yeah,
some people
you
and get
coming out
some.
there?
I'm trying to, and I think things are looking good. So when I looked on to try and get the tickets myself, they were all sold out. And some people have been trying to help me on Twitter. So matter of fact, shout out, I'm gonna shout them out now, Keith and Colin and Kyle, all within the Washington football community, man, good people. So I'm gonna try and check in with them and get some tickets. I just didn't want to. I need 2 tickets, so I didn't want to intrude and take up majority of the tickets from the people who actually who like if they need one. I'm not about to take 2. So, but if they can bless me, nobody wants them. I'll take both of them. So yeah, things are looking good. So like I said, those one of the people that I want to see. Hopefully Friday and obviously in the preseason games for sure. Okay, I know you going too, right, Dre? You did say you was
Yeah,
going,
I'm
matter of
definitely
fact.
going. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not that I was all like pressed to go or anything. Because honestly, I didn't even know they were having this thing. Like my mom called me one day and she was like, "Hey, you going to the Redskins practice thing?" And I was like, "What practice thing?" And she was like, "Oh, we saw it in the newspaper because they still get the damn newspaper subscriptions. I don't read newspapers and nothing like that."
Right.
So she's like, "Yeah, we seen it in the newspaper, and I went in online and I got the 2 tickets. So I'm just gonna send them to you." I said, "All right, cool, thanks,
I
mom.
went
All
on the
right, I'm gonna go."
online and I got some
Hey.
tickets.
Yeah, I went
uh,
online, got the ticket. I was like, all right, Batman, send them to me. I go up there, you know what I'm
okay,
saying?
cool.
Check out my squad. Hey.
So yeah, so nah, for sure. I actually do want to go. So I'm gonna try and make that work. I really, to be honest with you, after this past weekend, that was cool and all, but I need some football in my life.
Yeah,
That shit
yeah. And
has to
this time,
happen.
man,
Absolutely.
that itch about to get scratched.
Already, man. Already. We like what 10 days? No, 9 days away from the first
Shit,
game.
we play next Thursday. We play the
Yeah,
Patriots next
9 days.
Thursday.
Yeah, 9 days away. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bet. All right, so let's get to this last one. So I was gonna use Khalid Hudson. Matter of fact, let me get the quote right quick for DeAndre. This is the coach said, I'm sorry. He said, well, he's made a couple of really tough catches as well today. I want to assume this conversation or this interview happened maybe a day or two ago. So that's what he said. Made a couple tough catches, but he's also done it all camp. He's a dual returner. He's got NFL experience, and that's one thing that attracted him to us. That's why we signed him in the all season. Obviously, to have a dual returner gives you more flexibility with your game day roster. And dual return is something that Dre already mentioned. Dual returner being kick return and punt return. He's not just one person, which is kind of weird because I've always said Steven Sims can do both, but I don't know why they don't view him that same way. Neither here or there. We're talking about Carter. So there are some things that he can bring to the table in terms of his skill set. They continue. He can play the slot if you get into a situation. He can also play the X receiver. So again, there's that positional flex that we talked about. He's a guy that runs well with the ball in his hands, and that's what we're looking at offensively. He's more than a fit in terms of a guy that can do those type of things. So as you mentioned, Dre, obviously they know they got their background check on the guy, and that's some good news for him. So the last guy, and we go and get up out of here. Whew. I was gonna do Khalid, but Benjamin St. Juice. Now this is not a guy that I'm speaking. I'm not even speaking negatively here either. But I'm not speaking positively either. There's been no good news or bad news behind his name since training camp has started. And typically, when you're a guy that's making plays, your name's gonna get mentioned a few times. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dre, because again, I've been out the loop, but I haven't heard shit from about Benjamin St. Juice since training camp has started.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. Like I haven't heard much, but I don't know if that's a bad thing. Because you know what they say about cornerbacks. If you don't hear their name, they're doing something good.
But
So
I think that's in a game situation though, Dre, because when you're talking about training camp where you can see the plays a little bit more clear and you got the reporters on the sidelines, like you can see when a guy is at least looking good. Like
right.
like Brashard Breeland was that Brashard Breeland, Kendall Fuller, those are those guys like when they were here, not I mean Kendall's still here, but when Brashard was still here, like you knew they was gonna make some plays in the one-on-one. Josh Norman, he was physical. He got beat few times, but he was physical. He was going to have his name called out. Ben is just literally that. If you were wondering if I was going to say something, that was the reaction. It was nothing. So that's kind of where I get at with your training camp. Sometimes like you do have to hear the names get called because you're standing out to some degree, and he's not. There's nothing behind him.
Now, as far as like from a playmaking standpoint, yeah, I think that's that's something there that you're not seeing or you're not hearing about, obviously, because he's, I think back to a guy's name I heard about a couple of years ago in his rookie year, Jimmy Moreland. Remember his rookie year?
In my head, I said I forgot his name out of all the people that I mentioned. Yes, 100% Jimmy Moreland.
His name was getting called every day. Oh, Jimmy makes this play. Oh, Jimmy makes that play. But I also think that Jimmy and Ben are two different corners as well. I think I'm not so sure that Ben is a playmaker as a cornerback, whereas Jimmy is kind of that boom or bust guy. He's going to either give up the big play or he's going to make a big play, kind of like what D'Angelo Hall was for years for us. But I think Benjamin's more in that just physical, solid cornerback that you don't have to worry too much about. He may not get beat too much because he's always going to be around there, but he's also not going to make many plays. So, you got to kind of roll with that. I don't think he'll ever probably be a top 5 to 10 cornerback in the league, but they may not need him to be. They just may need him to be solid. But again, this also could be something too where, certain fans or reporters, they're looking at so much, it's hard to kind of pay attention to everything. So, and like I said, if you're not making plays a lot of times in these type of settings, you're not going to stand out in any kind of way, because they're talking about the guys that's making plays. Like you rarely hear about them say, oh, you saw Bobby McCain, he held well in the back half of that pass or whatever, even though he wasn't nowhere near the ball, but they didn't test him. You don't hear that in training camp. You know what I mean? But in a preseason game or a regular season game, you get to kind of pay attention to these things, especially for me, people like me. I record all of the games and I go back and watch the game. So I'll try to watch, maybe to see if I'm noticing certain players doing a good job or, he's being what he's supposed to be or whatever.
Yep.
So
sometimes you see it better on the second,
I think we'll get
second, third attempt.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we'll get a better gauge of where Ben is once we start seeing the games. Because right now, I don't think he's going to be a player that's going to make noise like a Jimmy Moreland did in camp, because I don't think he's that type of cornerback. So, he's going to be one of those players we're going to have to watch and pay attention to in games to see what kind of impact he's making on the field.
So I'll be quick with mine. I think it was important to bring up because especially for me, I don't know if you felt this way, but I know me and AJ felt this way. And he was one of the people who strongly believed that he had starter potential with Washington early on in his rookie year. Like he felt like the people over there really liked him. I mean, obviously they really liked him, but I'm talking about really liked him in terms of being a starter. But with that being said, I actually liked the way things were going, especially just hearing and understanding things from how things went in OTAs, mini camps, and things like that. You have that opportunity as a player, as a young guy, to carry that momentum from the off-season activities into training camp, where the real deal is actually going on. And again, he didn't fumble the opportunity. Like there's nothing. No bad news happened. There hasn't been any bad news. But when you have that type of potential heading into training camp, you kind of get worried that not only is he losing his momentum, he may not be standing out as well as he should be. So remember, for everybody who's listening, we're only talking about to this point in training camp. Games haven't even started yet.
Right.
And things may improve for St. Juice right now, but we're about a week into training camp, and it hasn't been no good news or bad news behind his name. And I guess the next step for us, Dre, is to just talk to somebody who's down there and just figure out what the hell is going on with St. Juice and some of the other guys.
But you know what? I'm going to practice Friday. You may be going there. We may get a chance to see ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Here's something to also kind of I think to pay attention to, maybe even at this practice or the first preseason game. And this is going to be interesting. This is something this is where you'll know what the coaches think of a player, is how soon they line up on the field. So if you kind of see Ben St. Juice come out there early in a 3 cornerback set, then you'll know what the coaching staff think of him. That's when you know the coaching staff sees this guy as a potential early starter for his team. Now, if you see Ben Juice come out there in the second quarter on, the game against New England, then I think you'll probably see that they're just bringing him along. That he's not where they want him to be right now because he's not starting early. He's not on the field early with the starters. But like I said, if you see him, even like I said, you may see it on Friday, you may see it next Thursday. But if he's out there on the field early with the starters, I think that's what you'll know what the coaches think of him and where his progress is right now.
Absolutely, man. So let's go ahead and lock in on a couple of these guys, man. Who DeAndre Carter, St. Juice. See what these guys are talking about a little bit more. Get some more information on these guys Friday, and obviously the remaining 3 preseason games. All right. So obviously, like we said, prayers up to AJ and his folks. When we get an update that we can share, we'll keep you all posted as well. Appreciate everybody who listened. I said listen. I was about to say listen live. Who watch live? Anybody who listening, all that type of stuff. Like, subscribe, review, whatever. Again, 1 stars. I'll find you. Don't do it. It's not a good idea for you. So we are going to start implementing the new schedule. I did. In case you all aren't aware, we are going to start increasing our streaming schedule. There will also be a couple more pods for the Washington football side coming out more than just once a week. And I think I'll go ahead and give it a dry run. Not even a dry run. It's going to be live, but I'll give the new segment or show a go on Thursday this week. Essentially 4 W's concept right quick. It's simply me putting out those 4 questions and getting some responses, and I'm essentially reacting to them on the stream and giving my opinion or my analysis on things like that, so we can like keep a conversation going. Because Q&A or asking you all to ask me questions is kind of, what the hell? Everybody don't want to ask questions, so let me ask you all the questions and see what your answers are, and we go from there. And y'all can join in on the conversation and things like that. So that's gonna be the Thursday thing. And when the games come around, we'll have a reaction style thing where Mondays are the same thing, the 4 W's, where I ask you all questions. But it's a recap side, not a preview side. So that's kind of how the thing's going to get going. For those who stuck with us to this point, obviously things do evolve, so we'll make the tweaks as we move along. But that's where we're at right now, man, and things are going good for us. We just got to keep putting the work in. Everybody who's sticking with us is along for the ride. So all those good things, man. I appreciate everybody who continues to show the support and root for the fellas. We're gonna keep grinding, keep doing our thing. Dre, do you got anything to say before we go and get up out of here?
No, man, just ready for some football. Like I said, we so close, man. I can smell it. So, Friday, I'll be excited. If anybody out there is watching this, y'all gonna be up there Friday. Like Tupac said, holla if you hear me.
Absolutely. Checking with the fellas, man. All right. Hey, with that being said, we will catch. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm tripping. I'll be back tomorrow for the All 32 side. And then Dre will be back Thursday too. We'll talk about that because you can obviously hop on if you want to. So Thursday or Tuesday. So yeah, with that being said, appreciate y'all for watching, listening, all that good stuff. Catch y'all next time. Peace.
Yes.